I think we're ready to get going here. We have 75 folks right now. I'm sure we'll have some more join us. Um, oh, Alex, nice to see you representing a congressman's office. Congressman Wenstrup, it's always good, Alex, to have you join us. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to jump right in, folks. So please put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat. Um, it's good for folks to know who is in the house. Jessica, good to see you. Madison, wow. But we have a lot to do today. Doug McDonald, great to have you, Doug. A lot to do today to run through a number of items and to get some feedback. At the end, at 10 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, we'll have a water cooler chat. So we invite you to stay around, and it's a good opportunity to ask any questions or to make some comments or give us some feedback, which we look forward to getting from you all. So without further ado, let me turn this over to Mark Knoll, our executive director, who's been on the job now almost 6 months. And Mark, it's great to have you with us, and take it away. And Mark will be leading the rest of the agenda here. Take it away, Mark.
All right. Good morning, folks. Good morning. And hopefully you can see it. It came out a little bit weird, but we dropped the agenda in the chat box there. So hopefully folks can follow along a little bit. But yeah, we have a jam-packed agenda, as Brewster mentioned, and excited to get going here, and we'll fill up the hour and get people on their way. So I want to start by saying that one of our most valuable partnerships is with the National Park Service. And there are two primary initiatives that we are partnering with the NPS on. One is our pursuit of the National Water Trail designation, which we're going to talk a little bit more about later on in the agenda. And the other, which we want to touch on right now, is the Rivertown Review Program, which we're really excited to relaunch here this year in 2024. This has been a partnership with the National Park Service over the past 4 years, since 2020. I am joined this morning with our partner from the National Park Service, John Olivier. I'm going to turn it over to him to provide a little bit more context on the Rivertown Review Program, how it's led to the Rivertown Review Toolkit, which we're looking forward to presenting to groups later on this year. So I will turn it over to John to provide a little bit more background, and then I'll take over from there to provide some next steps. So John, I will turn it over to you.
All righty. Thanks, Mark. I won't make the assumption that everybody knows everything about the Rivertown Review Program. I'm sure most of you do, but we'll do a real quick recap of the original program first before we get into the rest of the stuff. But during 2021 and 2022, the National Park Service and the Ohio River Way, which at that time was the Ohio River Recreation Trail, and local volunteers all got together and conducted Rivertown reviews in actually 14 different communities that resulted in 12 Rivertown Review reports. And what these were objective assessments of communities' outdoor recreation facilities and potential, and the subsequent eventual development of recommendations and resources so communities could embrace outdoor recreation, embrace their location on the river, and really start moving and building an outdoor recreation economy in their area. The reports were really well received by the communities. We actually did a summary of all 12 of the reports. And the main takeaway, and it was a really interesting one, and I guess not real surprising, was that there were so many common challenges and opportunities among all the communities. And what that really showed was the value and the opportunity to work on some of these in partnerships with the town right downstream from you, or right upstream, or across the way on the other side. So the summer report we thought was really important. And we actually did what was called a Rivertown Rendezvous, which was online. And we had folks talking about their experiences. And what that did was all of a sudden we started getting requests from other communities to have a Rivertown Review program done in their town. We didn't know how exactly we were going to do that at first, but our first step was to we wanted to develop a toolkit so that communities in theory could do these on their own. And the toolkit that we developed, and it's on the Ohio Riverways website, a link to it. We wanted to make it very, very user friendly. And it's, we boiled the whole thing down into a 5-step process. There's a really cool little flow chart right on the first few pages that outline these 5 steps. And each step has, it's not just 5 things, each step has several components in it. But again, it's meant to be extremely user friendly. That was our whole goal, so that a community could take this back and actually do one on their own, do a Rivertown review on their own. We decided then, and I guess when I say decided, National Park Service made the decision to commit some more resources and keep the program going a little bit. And our next step after developing the toolkit was we wanted to offer a workshop, Rivertown Review Toolkit workshop. And we got some information out. We did a lot of planning and tried to figure out what communities might be interested. We did some reaching out last year, towards the end of the year, and we're continuing that outreach. And the workshops that we have in mind, really a huge emphasis on interaction and the really interactive exercises that if you attend one of these, you're not just going to sit back and say, okay, yeah, this is good information, but you're going to be able to go through 3 or 4 different exercises related to your community. So you're going to leave these workshops with kind of a head start on getting started on a Rivertown review. You'll take information back, practical information that you can start acting on right away. Those exercises, and this goes back also to the original Rivertown reviews. There's an online presence exercise to see if somebody like me wants to go paddling or cycling in your community, and if I go online, is it easy for me to find out about opportunities, or is it not easy for me? And that will help you and your tourism folks really reach out to the people that you're trying to attract and give them the information that they need. Another exercise is what we call total visitor experiences. And these are I call them like the goofy, interesting, weird things that make your community unique and are going to make somebody like me who's going to paddle by go, man, I heard that this town has this thing called Fred the Goat. Now, who the heck is Fred the Goat? I got to go to Vivi and figure that out and find out about that. So again, this exercise will have you start thinking about those kind of things. There'll be a partnership exercise, because the idea about these workshops is that they won't be individual, where ideally there would be 3 or 4 other communities going through this with you, and they may be the communities up and downstream from you. So you may already start to be able to start developing partnerships. We'll also do, and I'm going to make an assumption everybody knows what a SWOT analysis is: strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. So there'll be an exercise during the workshop with that too. So again, this is going to be practical stuff that you'll take back to your community. All that being said, we do realize that communities may or may not have the resources even to come to a workshop. We're hoping that they do, but they may not have the resources to conduct the full-blown Rivertown review program. So we're working on ways that we can provide, and when I say we, National Park Service and Ohio Riverway folks, how we may be able to provide some assistance on site after a workshop to make this happen. And that would involve on-site assessment of your recreation facilities and opportunities and potential, and then also working with you folks on public engagement. And it's at this time that I'll go ahead and turn it back to Mark on how we might be able to make that happen.
You're muted.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Mark.
Get people on there. I don't even know how
For some reason, we can't hear you, Mark. So we're going to have to figure out how to move this forward without somehow hearing you. Okay. So
Let's hear me now.
There you go.
Thank you. Go ahead, buddy.
All right. Sorry about that. Let me just turn this up here. Okay. All good?
All good.
All right. Excellent. Apologies. So what I did, I tried to share my screen there to provide a few next steps for where we're headed with the Rivertown Review Program. And for whatever reason, that must have thrown off my audio for some reason. So I'll just talk through this here really quickly. So the next steps, we want to provide a venue to give a little bit more background on the Rivertown Review Program and the toolkit, allow people to ask questions to better understand what exactly the toolkit is, what it means for their community, and what Rivertown reviews might look like in 2024. We don't have time to do that in this particular meeting. And we'll put this information up on our website and on social media, but we're looking to have 2 Zoom info sessions coming up Thursday, February 29th at 11 a.m. And then another option will be Monday, March 4th at 2 p.m. And we can schedule additional info sessions if those particular times don't work for you. Just let us know. So at this point, the key information, reach out to me, mark@ohioriverway.org to sign up for one of these info sessions. Again, Thursday, February 29th, 11 a.m., Monday, March 4th, 2 p.m. We can schedule additional sessions as needed. Moving forward from there, we would be setting up in-person Rivertown Review Toolkit workshops in April. The dates and the locations of those are to be determined, but we encourage you again to attend one of those Zoom info sessions. And at that time, we'll have a little bit more information about the date and the location of those in-person Rivertown Review Toolkit workshops. From there, we would be looking to the communities to establish local leadership teams. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means, what a local leadership team looks like in these info sessions, and then again at the toolkit workshop. So don't need to worry about that too much at this point. And then over the summer would be the time period where we would actually come in and do facilitated Rivertown reviews, again, with our partners of the National Park Service and with your local leadership team, given if your community is interested. So again, that's kind of the timeline for this year. And I know that it's time to move on in our agenda here. So I'm going to turn it over to our committee chairs, our coalition committee chairs. Again, we have 5 committees: conservation, tourism, trails, history, and Clean Ohio River. And we are so grateful for our committee chairs who are working so hard to find and establish goals that relate to all of us across the river here, and engage with organizations up and down the river to establish those shared goals and make progress on initiatives in their areas of expertise. So without further ado, we will start with the Conservation Committee, and I will turn it over to Christy Knoll.
Hi, Mark. I think Mark Jacobs, are you on the call somewhere?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I think Mark is going to, since he ran the last meeting, kind of share what Conservation Committee has been up to.
All right, hi, everybody. Okay, at the last Conservation Committee meeting, Jack Phillips from Boone County Planning and Zoning gave an update on the effort to put together some maps of conserved or protected land along the route. And I think they're planning in like a 1 mile buffer. And I think they are making some good headway. They still have some work to do for sure, but they're making some headway there. Jordan from National Wildlife Foundation gave us an update on the Ohio River Restoration Plan and reported on a little bit on the 31 listening sessions that they have. I'm sure if you all want more information on that, Jordan would be happy to give it to you. There was a comment about no trail towns in northern Kentucky, so I think there was definitely some interest in correcting that. So hopefully we'll get some traction there. We were hoping that we were going to get a report on the North Bend, Ohio, William Henry Harrison Park that they're planning over North Bend, and hopefully we will we'll get an update the next meeting. They weren't able to do it this past time. Just to let you know, Boone County Water Rescue has acquired a piece of property on the Ohio River, on the northern end of Boone County, which is good because their offices and station was on East Bend Road, which is like in the middle of the county. So that's a pretty big thing, acquiring that river access there for the rescue team. And of course, Christy gave an update on the Perrin property. I think things are going pretty well there, and hopefully that'll work out good. And Rich from Ohio River Foundation did give a report on some of their dam removals, which are excellent projects. We're glad to hear that. And we are, just to let everybody know, we're going to change to quarterly meetings. So we will let anybody on our committee, our conservation committee list, we will send out a yearly schedule with those quarterly meetings. So that's roughly in a nutshell. That's what we discussed. And if anybody has any questions, feel free.
Thank you, Mark, very, very much. Very much appreciate your work. All right, let's turn it over to Mary Allen and the Tourism Committee. Mary, are you with us?
I am with you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes.
Good morning. Okay. During the time since we've had the summit, we onboarded our newest co-chair, Cassandra Hurst. Cassie is replacing Julie Kirkpatrick, who will remain as a resource to the team, but will not be one of our 3 co-chairs. During the breakout session, we had a lot of really good discussion, and Noelle summarized that. And we shared that during our meetings, subsequent meetings, because not all members were at the summit in October. And some of the things that we discussed at the summit and then in our meetings were producing a social media calendar, providing content and images that could be posted on Facebook and other venues. We started talking about Travel Thursday. We talked about how our calendar and our social media posts need to be very visitor specific, tourist specific, not just things that apply to the locals in your community. We then talked about developing a toolkit for communities to help them be successful. And some of that would be things like the content that they should put on their website related to ORW, river community checklist, digital assets and graphics of ORW, their event calendar submission, ORW talking points for their tourism professionals in local jurisdictions, some sample media posts, and maybe even a sample blog template. The chairs met with Jessica Balzerson in December, and she attended our meeting in December and January, and actually provided a sample template for us to consider. It included a lot of photos, searchability tags, and then driving directions. And so we had a really good discussion about itineraries, and this is something we've talked about in ORW for a while. But We have since also talked to the ORW Executive Committee about the possibility of having someone actually develop them for us. And we thought about maybe starting off with about 5, and they would be multi-community. And then the committee met with Mark and Forrest to talk content creation. And we also are working on that blog template that I mentioned and a template for social media posts. We meet the second Wednesday of each month. We had a scheduling conflict with our 3 co-chairs for February, so we did not meet yesterday, but we will meet again on March the 13th. And it's usually every month. We rarely have to reschedule. So that's all I have.
That's wonderful, Mary. Thanks so much. And just a little bit more context on those travel itineraries. So yes, within the next few weeks, we are looking forward to marketing an opportunity for a travel writer to come in and actually develop approximately 5 36-hour or weekend trip type itineraries for the Ohio Riverway that would hit on our communities all the way from Portsmouth to West Point, Kentucky. And so we're really looking forward to that opportunity. If you are a travel writer, or if you know of a travel writer, please stay tuned. Again, we'll be promoting that opportunity within the next few weeks on our website, on social media, etc. So please stay tuned. Thank you again, Mary.
Hey, Mark, could I just announce that and recognize and welcome Kaylee from Crawford County, Indiana, Recreation and Tourism just became a new member, and they'll be joining the tourism committee. So we welcome them in Southern Indiana.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. I don't believe that Joe Stelzer was able to join us this morning. Joe, please speak up if I'm incorrect on that. Hearing none. Let's move on to our history committee. And Paul Tinkat, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay. So we're the newborn among the committees. We were just, our organizational meeting was at the Ohio Riverway Summit in October, and we were born a twin. There is, we have twin organizations here. We don't know which twin is actually older. Well, actually, we do know which twin is older, and it's Orville. It's just like Orville Wright, ORVILLE, and it stands for Ohio River Valley Innovation Library and Learning Engagement. It's supposed to solicit in your mind all kinds of thoughts about innovation. And of course, you're supposed to think of Orville Wright when we mention the term Orville. So anyhow, we actually approached Ohio Riverway. We were born first, Orville, and said, how can we cooperate with the organization? So I'm kind of going with this twin analogy for now, because right now, most of the work is happening at the end that's been funded, and funded very well. So Orville is an official project, volunteer project of the Kenton County Public Library in Covington, Kentucky, which is literally, I'm looking right out my condo now at all the wonderful skyscrapers of Cincinnati. So we have an initial funding of $25,000. Already the Kenton County Public Library, or I'll say KCPL, has agreed to sustain the organization. The main job of Orville and its cooperation with the new History and Heritage Committee is to provide a website of all things historical on the Ohio River. There is no other website like it around. We will be the first. So we have graphic designers working on the website already. We have computer folks working on the website. We have a URL. We have a logo. We're making a lot of progress, and we hope either in late summer or early fall to begin to unveil that. We've also begun with our first article on the Ohio River. I have a series in Northern Kentucky Tribune, a free nonprofit newspaper on the Ohio River. So I can send that link to those who are interested. We are also cooperating with This Is the Ohio and planning out a major premiere showing at the Kenton County Public Library on April 8th. So where we stand now is I need to get the committee to meet on a quarterly basis, and I apologize for that. And so first thing on my mind after I leave this meeting today is to try to see when we can set up quarterly meetings and be as efficient as all of your other committees.
Question for Paul, two questions. One is, you mentioned Orville, but what is the name of the other twin?
Oh, the other twin is the History and Heritage Committee.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
how
yeah,
far,
exactly.
and how far back into history are you going to probe? Are you going to go back to Precambrian type studies?
We accept anything historical, and we'll go up to 5-10 years ago. Our view of history, our spectrum of history is large. So yes, we invite any and all. And this is going to be, I think, an amazing project. Orville, by the way, stands for Ohio River Valley Innovation Library and Learning Engagement. We knew we wanted Ohio River Valley. We knew we wanted innovation. We knew we wanted something with L. So every self-respecting organization has to have an acronym. Orville was the only one we could come up with.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Nice,
Thank
quick
you.
question.
Thank you, Paul.
Sure.
We're running a little short on time, but Mary, if it's a quick question, go right ahead.
So for the communities that are located along the Ohio River, if we want to post stuff on this website, how would we do that? Will we need to contact you or?
Contact me. So the website is not up and running yet because it's going to be an amazing website, the Kenton County Public Library, and there's going to be several layers, yes, but any community will be able, and we're already working with 6 other libraries on trying to put together a major grant for digitization of resources as well.
Can you put your email in the chat?
Absolutely. More than happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
That's wonderful. And certainly we want to keep the conversation going. So please do share your information in the chat so that folks can connect following the meeting. That's fantastic. Okay, one more committee update, Clean Ohio River Sweep. Annette, I do believe that you were able to join us this morning. The floor is yours.
Hi, Mark. Yes, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, great. I'm reporting to you from my car. So I'll be quick with our report. Everyone, hi, my name is Annette Schumart. If we haven't met yet, I'm the Communication and Environmental Education Manager at Orsenco. And I also serve as Ohio Riverways Clean Ohio River Committee Co-Chair. I'm happy to report we met about 6 times last year and recruited several new members at the Ohio Riverway Summit in the fall. I'm trying to get the committee and the new members all together in March. So if anyone is interested in joining this committee, please email me or let Mark know and he can get in contact with me or Forrest. We'd love to have you on the committee. We'd really like to try to plan a river-wide large-scale event. Brewster has been asking me this for the past couple years. We would love to work that out with the ORW Coalition somehow with all the many members. I think if we all got together and did a giant river sweep event, it would be a big success. So the committee is trying to put that together this year or at least for early next year. So please, if anyone's interested, let me know. We'd love to have you on the team. The Orsenco Ohio River Sweep season, it's a litter cleanup season that runs all along the Ohio River and throughout the Ohio River Basin. It's open now. Our season begins March 1st and we are accepting supply request forms currently. The season runs into October 31st and you can submit a form at any time. We already have about 20 events scheduled for this year and some of them are shaping up to also be pretty large scale events. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. Last year, we held about 121 cleanup events, had about 4,500 volunteers, collected 85 tons of trash off the Ohio River and about 900 tires. So thank you to everyone that joined the cause and helped with that last year. That concludes my report.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annette. And thank you again to all of our committee co-chairs. We really do appreciate your work.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
A question for Annette. Does that group work with the folks from Living Lands and Waters?
Currently, no, but we are certainly open to that if anyone has a recommendation. Brewster has connected me with their marketing person a couple times, but no, nothing has come out of that yet.
But once we nail down the schedule that they have for this year on the Ohio, then we'll share that and try to coordinate with them and help them get additional volunteers from communities and corporations to be helpful, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw a draft earlier, Brewster, and I think that they're due back here and into Louisville sometime this year, probably in August or September.
If you can send that to me, that'd be great. I'll be in touch with them as well directly. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, you guys. That's great.
Wonderful. Thank you all. All right, we're going to transition to some general updates at this point. Over the last couple of months, we have been working hard to add a lot of resources onto our website. And so I will turn it over to Forrest to go through and preview some of the updates and the new resources on our website.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. This is all a work in progress, but there are some real changes that have already been made. So welcome to the Ohio Riverways website. If you haven't been here before, we have added a few new pages and updated some existing ones. One is our Rivertown events page. This page is a bit more attractive now. It can be viewed in a few different ways. On the back end, there's an easier way for us to accept events that you submit. I also occasionally just add some if I see something cool going on. If you have an event going on, please do add it to our submit event page. Sometimes I will then add these to our social media or to our newsletter. And in any case, it's great to have them here. People do come and find them on our website through Google. Also under the events tab, I have now added a page for our coalition meetings and our committees. Here you can register, direct other folks to register, or see our previous coalition meetings. And if you're not currently a part of a committee and would like to join one, you can submit a little form here to request to join, and we have a quick description of our committees. Additionally, our blog page looks a little bit different and has been getting some updates. So these include some blogs that I've written, that other folks have written for us, including from our paper guide that I've digitized. They also include some news articles relevant to the river that we've added. And this has been staying fairly current. Additionally, under our resources tab, under more resources and videos, there are a few things that might be helpful here that we are continuing to build out. One is our funding opportunities page. This is brand new. It is not the most beautiful web page, but it has some really valuable funding opportunities listed here. They include the deadline that they're here and links to where you can learn more about them. I would highly encourage you to go look through this page and take a look at some of these programs that might be applicable to you. And if you ever hear about a funding opportunity that you think might be interesting to a river community or organization, we are particularly focused on recreation, restoration, and community and economic development, but most of these are related to recreation. If you know of any, shoot us an email. Additionally, it's not done yet, but we are working on a revised homepage that I am very excited about, and I think will be a beautiful refresh for our organization as we become increasingly public facing. In addition to the website, you can also see on our Facebook and our Instagram that we are posting increasingly more, and I hope to see that continue to grow. Mark?
Huge thank you to Forrest for all the work that he's put into making our website what it is and adding all these wonderful resources. And stay tuned. There's more to come in the coming weeks and months as we continue to build out that website. All right, wonderful. So at the beginning of the meeting, I mentioned that we have two primary initiatives with the National Park Service. We covered the Rivertown Review Program. The second is pursuing National Water Trail designation. So I wanted to provide a quick update as to where we are in that process. So over the past couple of months, we have inventoried all of the publicly owned and accessible access points from Portsmouth, Ohio to West Point, Kentucky. We've collected and documented best practices from other national water trails in terms of signage, physical and digital maps, and trip itineraries. And we are currently working on contacting the property owners or the property managers of each of these publicly accessible sites, and we'll be scheduling on-site meetings, ideally this spring, to identify any physical improvements that may be needed to those, and also to determine precisely where signs can be placed announcing the water trail. And ultimately, down the road, we do plan to add additional safety, environmental, and historical information to these signs at a future date. Meanwhile, we are also drafting paddling specific itineraries for all segments of the water trail. We hope to have these drafted and released to our coalition in the next few months for feedback, and to make sure that we're not missing anything in those itineraries. The last item I'll mention on this, one key component of the National Water Trail application process is collecting letters of support, as well as maintenance agreements from each community along the way. So if you are a community or a property manager that owns one of these publicly accessible sites, please be on the lookout for communication from us. If you don't hear from us in the next few weeks, reach out to us, because we may be missing you. So stay tuned for more information again in the coming weeks on that. Ultimately, the goal is to submit our application for National Water Trail designation in November of this year. So that's kind of the big picture that we're aiming for. All right, unless there's any specific questions on that, I will turn it back over to Forrest to talk a little bit about our upcoming Ohio Riverway Challenge this June.
Sweet. Yes. So I'm not the first choice for this task. The challenge is being led by David Wicks, our board co-chair, as well as Ella Swigler, our volunteer logistics manager for the paddle. They are both out, so you got me. But it's going to be very exciting. So we already have the dates down, June 2nd to the 11th. It is again going to be our 250-mile paddle from Portsmouth, Ohio to West Point, Kentucky. And along the way, we're going to be doing a few different things. This is not just a paddle for fun. We are going to be connecting with our communities and folks at the grassroots level, which is very valuable for us as an organization. And we are also going to be working to promote river recreation as we work to rebrand our corridor. So we will be working with press along the way. Last year, we had 19 local and regional hits and 1 national. And we are hoping to build upon that while also working with influencers that might not be traditional media. This is the last new website page to show you. Under events, you can come check out the Ohio Riverway Challenge for 2024. If you know someone that would be interested in joining us for the full paddle or part of the paddle, we have the application open. They can go ahead and join. If you would be interested in sponsoring the paddle, you can click here, or you can just email me at Forrest with 1 R at ohioriverway.org. We would love to have sponsors to help make this paddle possible. Again, it is to help raise awareness for river recreation. And it's just a lot of fun. You can check out some previous videos regarding our paddles, our annual report from last year, and see the great photos, which a fair number of tourism bureaus along the river take up and use. We just saw Madison, Indiana use some photos of the challenge, and well, photos of the Voyagers in their visitor's guide. So if you have any questions, drop us a line and you will continue getting some updates on the challenge.
And
Wonderful.
first, Mark, if I could just chip in here, this
Sure.
would be the 4th time, I think, maybe 5th, I don't know, 4th time at least, that we've done this 250-mile paddle. And traditionally, it has been from Portsmouth to Louisville, this time to West Point. We're considering in the future adding either shorter sections and doing multiple communities, for example, starting in Ironton as a possibility in Lawrence County. But that's something we needed to think through. It is a long trip. But we want to include as many communities as possible, and maybe we do a Marietta to Ironton separate paddle another time of the year, something we can consider. Anyway, just wanted to lay that out there. So Mark, take it ahead.
Perfect. And the last thing I'll mention on that is we are working to potentially partner with some of the regional universities to provide opportunities for college students to join in the Ohio Riverway Challenge. So if you do represent a university and may know of another professor or a group of students who may be interested in the Ohio Riverway Challenge, please get in touch with us, and we would love to explore that opportunity.
If I may jump in on this as well, my name is Nate Welch. I'm the Portsmouth-Sinai County Visitors Bureau Director. And so first off, we're happy to have the Ohio River Challenge come back to our community. And last year we did a send-off, and we're going to do that again. We're already kind of in the early planning stages for this, but we're expanding on that a little bit more by conducting our own paddle fest. So kind of going off of the idea that Cincinnati has done, we want to create our own paddle fest as well. So just kind of want to put that out there that we're trying to make this a little bit bigger than what it used to be.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for that. All right. We are at 10:45. We're going to keep on trucking here. Next item on the agenda. Have you seen it? The documentary, The Ohio Life, Death, and Rebirth of the Beautiful River. So just a little bit of context here. Over the past year, our vice board chair, David Wicks, has been working with filmmaker Morgan Atkinson to develop a documentary featuring the history of the Ohio River that shares a variety of stories about the river as seen through a diverse array of perspectives, from it being a working river to an opportunity for recreation, etc. So some of you who attended our summit back in Madison in October may recall that Morgan joined us and provided a preview of the documentary. And since then, the documentary has been finished, and it premiered on January 24th at the Louisville Free Public Library in partnership with the Kentucky Waterways Alliance. We had a crowd of nearly 400 people there to watch the premiere, which would have included many of you on this call this morning. The documentary was followed by a panel discussion led by Susan Griffin Ward, Kentucky Waterways Alliance Community Engagement Director and also board member of the Ohio Riverway. That panel included Perry Thomas from the Oldham County Conservation District, Francis Kern-Manone, Deborah Belitsky from Louisville Waterfront Park, and Nancy Tice from the Oldham County History Center. In addition, Congressman Morgan McGarvey was present and provided a brief update on the status of his work with the Ohio River Caucus, of which he is the co-chair. So by all accounts, it was a very successful event, and it was wonderful to see such enthusiasm in the room that evening. Now, if you were unable to join, stay tuned for more announcements on future showings. For instance, Kentucky Waterways Alliance is sponsoring and currently working to schedule 3 showings, the first of which I believe has been confirmed for Richwood on the River in Milton, Kentucky on Saturday, March 2nd. So be on the lookout for more information about that. Kentucky Waterways Alliance is also working to schedule several other showings. And they and we as well will be sharing the details of those when they are available. I'll also add that the release of this documentary is coming at a very important time, much in part due to the release, the upcoming release of the Ohio River Basin Restoration Plan. And I believe Jordan Lebetkin may have jumped on this call. I'm not sure if he's still here.
Yeah, he had to pick up his daughter at the airport.
Okay. Excellent. Well, so without going into a ton of detail, the need for the Ohio River Restoration Plan, Ohio River Basin Restoration Plan, was developed out of a strategic planning process led by ORWA, or the Ohio River Basin Alliance. And since then, Jordan, with the National Wildlife Federation, in partnership with ORWA, with Orsenko, and with many other stakeholders, has taken the lead in developing the restoration plan, which will ultimately be presented to congressional leaders and be the basis for legislation that could lead to a significant federal appropriation for the Ohio River Basin. So this is very exciting. If you've been following along, you may have seen that the listening session component of the restoration plan was released just earlier this week, and it summarizes the outcome of several dozen listening sessions that the National Wildlife Federation facilitated with local partners over the past 2 years or so. In addition, there will also be a technical component of the restoration plan, which we anticipate will be released later this spring. So all this to say, the restoration plan is something we're tracking very closely alongside our partners, including Kentucky Waterways Alliance, Orsenco, and many others. And we want to keep you engaged and aware so that when the time is right, we can activate our network to advocate for the passage of the legislation focusing on restoration and enhancement of the Ohio River Basin. So one of our next steps will be participating in the Ohio River Basin Hill Day in Washington, D.C., which is coming up in mid-May, to bring congressional leaders up to speed on the status and importance of this restoration plan. So please stay tuned for more to follow on that.
Yes. And I think maybe the only thing I would add there is we did participate in the Hill Day last year. It was a great starting point for us. Excited to see what it's like this year. If you are really feeling motivated, you can come participate in the Hill Day yourself. And it is great to have grassroots folks from the communities along the river to actually come meet with these members of Congress and their staff. But that is May 16th, and there is a link to it on our website on the events page.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And if I could just add, the purpose of this Hill Day is to rally the members of Congress and their staff whose districts are in the watershed. About 60 congressional districts out of 435 are in the watershed in a number of states, like 12 states or 9 or 10 states. But to get them, to have them become aware that there are folks in their communities in the watershed who care deeply about improving the quality of the watershed, and having the federal government, like they do with the Everglades, Chesapeake Bay, and the Great Lakes, invest federal dollars every year to help pay for restoration work within the watershed that would help improve the quality of water in the tributaries, deal with the agricultural runoff, a whole variety of initiatives that would help improve water quality in the Ohio River, ultimately by improving it in the basin. So it's a really important deal, and it's great that we have Morgan McGarvey from Louisville as one of the co-chairs, and now we're looking for another co-chair on the Republican side from Indiana or from Ohio, or if necessary from another state. Anyway, this is a big deal, and ultimately could be millions and millions of dollars invested in our communities. Sorry, just wanted to share that.
That's perfect.
Go ahead.
That's perfect. Thank you, Brewster. Yeah, excellent, excellent. So we have about 10 minutes left. The next item on the agenda is really just turning it over to you all, really an open table discussion, sharing good news from your community or from your organization, or any upcoming events that you would like to share. So would anybody like to get us started?
I'd like to start if I could.
Sure.
Please. I actually posted a short note on this, but last week I participated in a initiative. It's called America 250. And even though I'm very much involved in history and keeping up on things, I had missed out on this one, but I'm glad I attended it. But this is a national initiative to celebrate, obviously, the 250th birthday of our nation here in a couple years. And what I found out is that there are grants available to help communities celebrate their history. And one of the grants that I was keenly interested in, and something that, of course, Portsmouth wrote the book on, are murals. And that's one of the areas that there's funding available. Literally one of the deadlines is March 15th, I think, for submission. Because they want to have all this wrapped up, obviously, over the next year or so, these projects approved and all, because 2026 will be here before we know it. But I'm thinking with all the history on the Ohio River, and in our case, we're blessed with a Revolutionary War soldier who founded our town, and Ulysses S. Grant, born right up the river from us. So we're pretty proud of that, the founding of the nation, and and then the Revolutionary soldiers and all that helped make the country possible. So I just thought I'd leave that with you. So it's called America 250, and I know they've got great websites and all. Ours is being headed up by our Claremont County Visitors Bureau, and they're doing a great job on it. So I thought I'd just share that with you.
Excellent. Thank you, Bob.
To build upon that, the Underground Railroad Freedom Center and America River Routes is putting a grant into Ohio 250 to try to put a digital platform together that will trace the sites along the Freedom Trail, including the ones in Cincinnati all the way up the river. And the idea is to get this platform built so it not only has rich historical content, but can plug into the work that you're doing, collecting information on, Airbnbs, hotels, restaurants, coffee shops, so people could plan a tour up the river and stop in these sites and actually, spend some time in the region. So we're applying for that March 15th as well. So hopefully some of these grants will come through. We can build upon the work of Ohio River Way.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rick.
And that was Rick Gryway, who is a board member for the Ohio River Way. And thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Mark, I'm sorry if I could.
Oh, go ahead, Bruce.
Catfish. Yeah, no, you go ahead.
All right. I just wanted to share in Ludlow, Kentucky with Music Fun Cincinnati, we have our Cabin Fever Festival coming up. For any small towns, this is an event where we put together about 30 bands and we put music in all the storefronts. So it kind of brings our town alive for the day. I know we're looking for a little maybe Ohio River Way representation. I got a vacant storefront where we have King Records out of Cincinnati is doing a pop-up. So Mark dropped me off some info, but if anyone from Ohio River Way is interested in checking it out, coming on down, we'd love to have you.
And we highlighted that event in the most recent newsletter that went out yesterday, right, Catfish? Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So check that because it has all the details.
Yeah, and then in the future, I don't want to speak out of turn, but we're working with Thomas More Field Biology Station for an event, a Hellbender fundraiser.
Yes, I believe that was just announced yesterday online. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
And if I could, I just wanted to, I know that our chair of our Trails Committee, our Trails team, Joe Stetzler, was not able to be on the call today, but I want to make sure everybody knows that there is a very active Trails team working to identify where existing trails along the river are, the trail networks in the towns along the Ohio, and trying to basically figure out how to make connections between communities that are safe and characterize the on-road routes that do connect communities so people know what level of safety they have. But ultimately, we want to create a land network of on-road and off-road bike trails that connect Marietta and further north, way down to our friends in Evansville. So that's a long-term project, but and it also includes hiking trails, mountain biking trails, as well as on-road and off-road recreational trails for cyclists and hikers. So please keep an eye out for that committee and let people and go to the page where you can sign up to be added to that committee, and you'll be notified about the next meeting that Joe will be calling. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that was a very, very important and active committee or group. I'm sorry, Mark. Take it.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you, Bruce. That's wonderful. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure that folks saw the link to our webpage that talks a little bit more about each of our committees and gives folks the opportunity to sign up for those. That is in the chat. And if folks are having trouble finding it, just ping us and we'll make sure you get that link.
And let me also call everybody's attention to the chat message that Logan York, who represents the Miami Nation from Oklahoma in the greater Cincinnati area. And he is very anxious to be involved with us and would be a great person to consult on any Native American history and culture issues, especially as it relates to the Miami. So his email is in the chat. Please take a note of that, and we'll be working more closely with him going forward.
This is Francis. I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update. We're still waiting to hear back from the state of Ohio Department of Development on the Appalachian Community Grant Program, of which many of you had participated in. It caused quite a stir out in the state of Ohio and the counties that are Appalachian. the Ohio River Way put together an application in support of a application that Orsenco really hosted. And we asked for about $8.5 million to improve perceptions around the river and water quality testing, so that when the communities that are seeking funding from the state of Ohio do things like build projects that are capital improvement projects for parks and what have you along the waterfront, that the notion was to make sure that the river and the perception of the river is understood better for the population. And so we're seeking about $8.5 million in funding. But I think honestly, one of the biggest wins here in all of this was the before ahead of any funding awards is the collaboration that was done between Orsenco, ourselves, Groundwork Ohio Valley, 2 philanthropies, and also the Inland Rivers and Ports Association, that is the workforce development program around the industry, the barge industry. So we're excited to hear what the results might be.
Excellent. Thank you, Francis. Other good news or upcoming events from folks?
I'd like to share.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go,
this
Kelly.
is Kelly from Paddle Perry. I'm located in the southern part of Indiana on the Ohio River. And I went ahead and put in the chat that our annual meeting is coming up on February 25th. It's also a fundraiser. So you're all invited to come. And we're going to be talking about a lot of what we do throughout the year and some of the events that are coming up. In April, we're hosting a ton of really big clean sweeps that Annette is familiar with Orsenco. And one of the big projects that we're working on this year is we have acquired 2 large 10-person clipper canoes that we are refurbishing, and we're going to follow in the footsteps of the Ohio River Way in offering trips on the Ohio River with these boats. So that's just some information I wanted to share about what we're up to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Susan, I
Hi.
see your hand is raised.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'd like to jump in real quick. It was mentioned earlier, and I've posted it in the chat, but KW, Kentucky Waterways Alliance, is very excited to be hosting a screening of This is the Ohio documentary in Milton, Kentucky at Richwood on the River on March 2nd. I hope you'll spread the word, plan to join us. From some parts of Louisville, it's only an hour away. Madison is right across the river. It's free. People are already registering pretty quickly, so I encourage you to sign up if you think you would like to attend. It's going to be a good night. Thanks.
And could I call upon Rick Jansen from Ironton? Rick, you guys have been doing an amazing job cleaning up debris, a model for the rest of us. Let us know in 30 seconds what you did.
Okay, we took the first weekend of February, the 3rd and 4th, got a group of people together and pulled out nearly 34,000 pounds of driftwood, trash, 6 tractor trailer tires, thousands of basketballs, footballs, soccer balls, you name it. And while we were talking, we had some municipality workers with us, and we're trying to encourage everybody along the Ohio River that work with public entities and have the ability to pull material, driftwood and so forth off the banks and get it out of the riverways. So we've had some meetings here locally, and we're encouraging everybody else, if you have a township that has a backhoe with a chain and cable, pull that drift out of there. And we got 34,000 pounds the first weekend, and we want to change the behavior of the townships and municipalities of pushing stuff back out in the water. Get rid of the drift.
Well, let's see if others can match what you all did. That's a challenge, right, Rick? Yeah. Wow. And just finally, I'd like to, Mark, thank folks with Indiana Trails. They paid for and spent an entire 10 days just about at the Cincinnati Boat and Travel Show with a booth promoting trails in Indiana, trails in Ohio, the Ohio River Way, and just thank them so much. I really appreciate that. We gave out tons and tons of booklets to people all over the Midwest. And so it was a great opportunity to reach folks. So just wanted to express that appreciation. So folks, we've reached, unless there's something else you wanted to share, Mark?
No, yeah, we've reached out. We need to let folks go.
Yes, right.
But we're happy to stick on if any folks have any specific questions that they'd like to ask of Ohio Riverway staff. We will certainly stick around for a few minutes.
We have a virtual water cooler discussion. So we don't have any coffee to serve to you, but if you'd like to stay, we'd love to have you. We'll be around for another 15, 20 minutes and a chance for folks to chip in, ask questions, make comments, share their best thinking about how we move this project forward. So anyway, this has been a great turnout. We just really appreciate everybody's engagement with us and the work that you're all doing in your own community. We want to hold that up, salute it, and invite other people, like with the Ironton example, promote, copycats of good work up and down the river. Make sense? Great. Okay, our next meeting of this group is the 23rd of May, not the, whatever it is, the 16th or so. It's the 23rd. Just mark that down. We'll be in Washington on this that week that it normally would be on for the lobby day. So anyway, mark that, the 23rd of May. Check us out with the paddle. Check out the film showings up and down the river. If you'd like to do one, let us know. We'll be glad to help bring it to your community. And then we'll see you at our summit, which we haven't nailed down yet, in the fall. Okay, folks, thank you very much. Any comments you'd like to put in the chat about the meeting? What went well? What could be done better? We'd appreciate that. But we're going to formally end this part of the meeting. And anybody who'd like to stay around and hang out around the water cooler, please take advantage of the opportunity. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Forrest. Thank you all for joining us. All right. Well, we had some nice comments in the chat. That's very cool. Hey, Michelle Cohen, it's good to see you. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to give you a shout out. It's always good to have you with us. All right.
This is Sherry Broderick. I'm in Gallatin County in Warsaw, Kentucky. And similar to what Rick was saying about like cleanup, we have a campground that's right on the riverfront, and there's a barge that's been stuck there. Is there any recommendations or anything that you have to do to try to get that moved, or we just work on it ourselves to try to get it out? You mentioned that, and so it popped up in my mind. I would ask a question just to see any other thoughts about removing that. It's a small piece that had just floated there, and it's been stuck there for a few years.
Well, Sherry, we have Bill Kinsler on the call. Bill, do you have any advice on that? You're the expert in the barge industry.
Yeah, I just unmuted because I was going to respond back to her. Sherry, if the Coast Guard has not deemed the barge, boat, whatever is sunken at your facility or your little piece of the river, if it has not been deemed a hazard to navigation, it's unfortunately it's going to be left up to you to get it out.
Okay, and like I said, it's been there for a few years, and we are very close to the Markland Dam, so it's not a hazard or anything. I'm sure that they've seen it. So
Yeah. Okay. Where is it? I'm pretty familiar with that area down. Where is it?
it's in Warsaw, Kentucky, and again, it's just a portion of it. It's not like a big piece, but it is like a metal portion, and it's got a lot of wildlife and stuff growing around it now. I think if we moved it, there would be some more water flow there, so it doesn't catch so much debris.
Yeah, is that area right above that big marina that's down there that used to be called Dan's?
Yeah, right there in front of it, there's I can see it out my window right now. There's a campground, and it's right across there from the campground.
Yep, been by it several times. Okay, that unfortunately that's the fact of life.
Yeah.
Sherry, how big are you talking about? How big of a piece is this?
I would say maybe like 10 feet, like or so. A lot of it's underground, you know what I mean? So I'm not really sure, but what you can see above ground or above the water.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing, there's going to be a lot of sediment on top of this, and the weight's going to be pretty massive. So you may want to talk to Bill. I'm not sure if you know any maintenance type companies in that area that might have a barge with a some type of rigging system to see if it might be lifted and dragged somewhere where you can pull the rest of it out. I'm not sure. But yeah, it just continues to be a problem and continues building up sediment and a great collection point. So man, I'd love to see that gone. I hate barges sitting on shorelines that are just gathering up. All
Yeah.
Sherry, if you want, I live in Hebron, and I can drive down to Warsaw. I wish I'd have known this. I was just down there 2 days ago. Hell, let's you and I get together. I'll be glad to drive back down there and take a look at it. But I concur that because of the sediment, it will be an awfully expensive removal. But we can take a look at it.
Bill, this is new to me. Are barge companies not liable for abandoned barges?
The rules have changed for us. The answer in today's world, if a company has a mishap and sinks a barge or a boat or whatever, that they get them out right now. That's the current law. I am very familiar with the Warsaw area, and I think that barge has probably been down 40 years. So
It's probably been there a long, long time. So
yeah, Sherry, it's been down there a long time. So the provenance of the barge is probably lost in history. That would be the big challenge right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. That's a good example of, maybe some problems get solved here around the water cooler. I love it. Does anybody else have a need that somebody else might be able to meet?
Yes. I'm with Indiana Trails, and I would like to ask Don Jones if he could send his contacts to the email to indianatrails.com and his contacts and what he represents. We are into bridges along the Ohio River, and we want to know more about the Roebling. So if you could send your contacts to trails@indianatrails.com, I would appreciate it.
Happy to do. I'm a new board member on the Roebling Bridge Committee, and so I'm still learning their processes and how I can help there. But I'll tell me that link again.
trails@indianatrails.com.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, and
thank you.
Deanna Clark, it's great to have you here from Marietta. And, we obviously haven't really expanded much beyond our Ironton and Portsmouth area, but we'll eventually partner with you and other river towns and, talk about Ohio River history. You started everything. So thank you. It's good to have you with us.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to learning more about the organization and seeing ways that we can partner with you folks. Definitely excited to be a new member.
Excellent. So it's wonderful to have you here. We look forward to working with you. And Doug McDonald, Doug, I know that you were interested in getting information about either transient or permanent boat docks that could be deployed on the Ohio. You live in Richmond, in Ripley, and are helping to mobilize and organize around the development of your riverfront. Would you like to share what you're looking for?
Yeah, so we've got our grant and our funding in place. We've got our we've gone through the Army Corps. We're in the process of all that. So we're getting ready to put out to determine the final specifications for a public dock that'll handle both large commercial passenger ship boats coming up the river, as well as recreation boats. And so we want to just, any knowledge anybody has in terms of best practice, don't do this or do this in terms of building docks. A lot of people build docks on lakes, which is very different than the Ohio River. So any contractors or just suggestions of do's, don'ts, how do you deal with the elevation change of the water, in that nature, things like that would be really helpful to just, if you send them in my email or contacts, And then just any firms that actually have good expertise and recommendations on actually doing construction in the Ohio River with public commercial docks would be helpful.
So Don Jones, I'm sure you can be helpful there.
Yes, I was just thinking about that. Where are you located?
Ripley.
Ripley. Because I'm also a member of the American Great Loop Cruisers Association, and those folks cruise the Great Loop, which starts in Florida and goes up to Lake Michigan and comes back down the Ohio, Illinois, and whatnot. And they're always looking to add to their inventory cities that offer transient docks. So
if you can send me emails of any contacts you have. And
sure.
One of the things we're doing is actually talking to is trying to reach out to some of those cruise companies, say, okay, when you come in a commercial boat, what are you, what do we need to provide that actually works that easy for you? So.
Right. And yeah, as far as dock manufacturers, there are a number that have experience on the Ohio River with the elevation changes and things. So I'll get that to you as well.
Great. Thanks, Wayne.
Excellent.
If you need any help, give me a call or contact me on the email. I'll be glad to help you. We were up there a couple years ago talking to some folks, but I don't have their names.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Excellent. Wow. So Kelly Rudolph, I know you put in the chat information about you starting a statewide paddling organization. You represent the American Canoe Association in Ohio. Do you want to say anything briefly about that?
Yeah, if you can understand me, I apologize. I had oral surgery yesterday.
You sound great.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I decided to create an organization for all paddle sports throughout Ohio because there isn't anything that really organizes Ohio paddlers. And I want to make sure that we have one centralized location where you can find all information regarding paddling. Hopefully, we can also help with trails, getting for trails, and finding ways to fund more trails through water trails throughout Ohio.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Kelly Hess may have some suggestions from her experience in Indiana. Maybe you guys can connect.
Thank you.
Yeah, send me a message because I missed all of that.
Yeah, Kelly, just put a message in the chat including your email, so Kelly Hess from Indiana, Paddle Perry, can follow up with you. Just a final thing, Michelle, maybe you can mention. Hey, Wayne, we're hearing you too much there. I'm sorry, Michelle. Maybe you can briefly share the new plan that Lawrenceburg has for developing a very innovative floating park with the restaurants. Don't mean to put you on the spot there, Michelle, but she may be tied up. So just take a look at the most recent newsletter that went out yesterday, and there's a rendering and more information about what Lawrenceburg is developing. It's a very bold, impressive riverfront development that essentially is a floating park. So anyway, check that out. Anybody else? Any feedback? Is there something we could do better with these meetings? Any advice to us? Okay, well, we'll try to keep it going and try to get better every time.
Okay, did Kelly Rudolph put her information out there yet? I haven't seen it.
Say it again.
Kelly Rudolph, did she have her information on the chat?
Yes, I did, but I will, I already put it in there. I will resend it to everybody now.
Yeah, she did post that earlier in the chat. But there you go. Okay, folks, does anybody have any final comments or questions they'd like to bring to the table here as we hang around the water cooler?
Oh, this is Kelly with Paddle Perry again. I did want to mention I am on another board with Scenic Lincoln Way, and one of their projects that they're working on this year is building a flatboat. We're going to be doing tours next year for 3 years. And then we're partnering with our neighboring county and donating the boat to them. And they're going to do an Abraham Lincoln reenactment all the way down to Louisiana in 2028.
Very cool. Excellent. Okay, folks. Well, listen, I know we all have work to do, so let's get back to it. And thank you so much for taking the time to join with us. Mark, thank you very much for managing the meeting. Great job. And Forrest, for all the work you're doing. So we just appreciate everybody's extra effort. And welcome our friend Greg Dale. I hope your trip down to the Nandahal Outdoor Center goes well. And we'll catch up with all of you going forward here. All right. Thank you, folks. Maybe our team can stay on the line, but the rest of you go back to work.
Thanks, Brewster.
Thank you, Greg. Say hi to Dana. Okay. Hey, Logan, it's nice to see you. Tell me what you do there. You're in Maysville, huh?
I'm in Aberdeen, Ohio.
Oh, Aberdeen, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm the village administrator here. I actually just started the position about a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's great to try to get in here and try to learn what everybody's got going on.
Well, we would really love to stay in touch with you. Do you mind sending me, can you put your email in the chat real quick so we can stay in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely.
So Brewster, who do you want to stick around? We've got Mark, you, me, and Forrest, Jerry, maybe.
Yeah, good enough. But I'm sorry, I just want to capture, Logan's email here. Maybe, okay, fine. So Aberdeen Village Admin, ADMN.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Wow, creative. But yes, we'll definitely chat and touch base because we'd love to work more closely with you all. You guys have an amazing riverfront. Hats off to y'all.
Yes, we've seen vast improvements in how clean and stuff the river is, talking to residents, and
good.
It looks like there's been a lot of cleanup going on, even upstream.
Well,
So-
Jerry Schulte, who's on the call here, who's coordinating our work on the National Water Trail application, will be in touch with you because we will need a letter from this village of Aberdeen, just expressing your support for the project and your continued commitment, which you do all the time, to maintaining your boat ramp. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, buddy. Thank you very much. We'll let you go.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.